Hi, welcome to this ODTUG video broadcast. We hope you enjoy the show.
This is Barbara Morris, and I'm interviewing Kris Rice, and we're going to discuss SQL Developer. And Kris has just been promoted to Senior Director.
Yes.
Hi, Kris. I was unable to attend your session the other day, so could you tell me kind of what you discussed and how the early acceptor program works?
Early acceptors.
Yeah.
Early adopters.
Yes.
So we pushed out the early adopters right before Open World to try and get it into the hands of people so they can test it out and tell us what they like, what they don't like. The biggest new features are the unit testing we added. So we added the unit tester, which is a little different than the other ones that are out there because it's more repository-based, more centralized. So we can define unit tests and we can run them against different databases. There's no code to deploy, things like that. We try to make that easier. There's lots of reusability of libraries and lookups and things like that in there. The other new thing is we integrated a lot of the modeler into the new early adopter. So now you can do read-only things. It's limited since the modeler is actually for charge. So the things you can do is you can grab your tables and drag them onto a canvas and get a picture of what that looks like so that you can get the visual, so the developers can have the visual of what they're dealing with. The other thing it will do is it will open up any models defined in the full modeler. So if your architect just does your data model and shares the files out, then everyone can benefit from looking at them. Those are the two biggest things. There's many, many little things that are in there. One of the other biggest things from the users will benefit from, but not necessarily notice that much, is the background ability of things. So before, one thing would happen is we'd throw the hourglass, or the tool would kind of go dull for a little bit while it was running stuff. We added background capabilities now, so when things happen, the little Knight Rider progress bar shows up in the corner, and it won't block the UI, so you can keep working on other things.
Great improvement.
Yeah, so we think it's going to be a very good release. We pushed out another early adopter last week, which had about 200 and some odd bug fixes over the first early adopter.
I'll have to go download it.
Yeah.
The unit testing, is it fairly intuitive? I kind of saw a couple glimpses of it, but it's...
Of course it is.
It's fairly intuitive, or is there a white paper somebody could download?
We don't have white papers on it yet. We're doing more viewlet and more demo-based things. There is an OBE, an Oracle by Example, that's on OTN that you can get and walk through it. I think it's fairly intuitive. It's mostly, structure-wise, is a lot like what everyone's used to. You have tests, the tests have suites, or the suites have tests, and they run sequentially, so if you have some ordering that needs to be done through the tests, maybe one sets up for the next, or things like that. It has setup to teardowns. Each test can have what we call an implementation, which is more or less the data set for that test. So you can have one test, but then maybe 100 different sets of data for it, so you'll have to define it once, and then each of the implementations run through the data sets. Like I said, there's the libraries, so if you do have set up teardown stuff, you can share them across tests, so you don't only have to define them once, and then you can reference them multiple times. The other things is there are reports. There's a bunch of reports that are built in. So you can say, oh, show me the tests that ran last night, and show me the ones that failed, the ones that succeeded, which database will they run against. Since it's repository-based, we can actually run against a third arbitrary database. So you can define your tests in one database, working on your dev instance, and then you can actually run the tests against, say, your QA or your integration instance, and still get the reports back out.
Oh, that's nice. Is the early adopter program still open if someone wants to go out and download as an early adopter?
It's freely available on OTN. It's not the most obvious download link because they wanted us to keep the big button that says download the production version. So you actually have to read the news, but right on top of the page is the news that says early adopters. Click here and you can grab it.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to tell everybody?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
We hope you enjoyed this video broadcast from ODTUG. If you'd like to see more of the same, please come to Kaleidoscope 2010, the Wardman Park Marriott in Washington, D.C. For more of these kinds of videos and lots of other information, go to www.odtug.com.